All right, SpeedGaming, hello. Hope you're having a nice Saturday, and welcome to the first qualifier for the Super Metroid DASH Randomizer one-day tournament. We're very excited about putting this together for you guys. And here with me today on co-commentary is my good buddy and the guy who has helped me a ton get this randomizer together, Mass Hysteria. Mass, how are you?
Doing great, Kip. Glad to be here.
Yeah, me too. I'm very excited. So real quick, the DASH Randomizer is a new randomizer that we've been working on for the last couple months. A lot of hard work's going into this, and what you guys are going to see today is the first qualifier. There's going to be a one-day tournament. I'll be putting some information in the chat, and there might even be, I believe, a exclamation point dash command in the chat, but there's going to be a one-day cash tournament that is on January the 18th. It's going to be an all-day long event with 16 players. To qualify for that tournament, a runner has to finish in the top 4 of one of the qualifying races. Obviously, once you qualify for the tournament, your times will no longer count in terms of the top 4 finishers. So today is our first and second qualifiers. Right now it's 1 o'clock Eastern. Our next one will be at 7 o'clock Eastern tonight, and then we'll have 2 more next week until we have 16 players qualified, and then those players will compete for cash prizes in the January tournament. So we got a lot to talk about. Mass, do you want to start by telling us a little bit about what the DASH Randomizer is based on to begin with?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right. So the DASH Randomizer is based on the same randomizer that was used in the 2017 randomizer tournament. This is the randomizer that Total worked on originally. Deserex randomizer, and then Total put together for that tournament with some minor adjustments. Sort of Kip's brainchild here to add some diversity to some of the logic with some adjustment to some capabilities.
Yeah, so let's talk about that real quick. What I want everybody to understand is, I like randomizers. I think they're cool. And obviously a lot of people like randomizers because it's, really interesting to watch the search for items. But one thing that I really love about Super Metroid as a game is Super Metroid really allows you, even in the vanilla game, to really kind of choose your own adventure. And there's so many different ways to be able to complete the game with different item sets. And so what I wanted to do is create a randomizer that was a little bit less about just the search for items and more about difficult maneuvers and being able to sort of use some of your experience from multiple categories to finish seeds. So to be able to do that, runners can technically finish the game with less items than they did in the previous randomizer logics, but it's going to be at the cost of some risk and maybe some potential tough boss fights. So we've changed some functionality for a lot of these items. Number one, the charge beam is actually currently equipped. Right from the very beginning, the runners have the ability to use a charge beam, but the starter charge only does 30% damage. So if they don't find the vanilla charge beam to go to 100% damage, then they're going to have to, take a really long time to do some of their boss fights. Secondly, the gravity suit now provides 50% damage reduction to heat damage. That means that technically lower Norfair hell runs are way more on the table now if you're an experienced runner, but it's very risky. So you'll notice that if they have gravity only, they will be able to, run through these heated rooms but not take quite as much damage. And then to also help with that, we've changed the item ratios a bit. There are more power bombs in this ratio and less super missiles, because super missiles are like, for an experienced Super Metroid speedrunner, super missiles are extremely powerful and make a lot of fights extremely free. So we wanted to sort of emphasize some of the difficult boss fights a little bit more. And then last, Mass, why don't you tell them a little bit about the new functionality with bombs and Spazer to open up the game even more?
Yeah, and well, of course, while we're at it, it's probably worth mentioning that on our featured runners, Ozzy over there just found gravity suit.
Yeah, actually, I need to point out that's a change. This original logic would not allow the gravity suit to be in that location, but we have added that in. The gravity can be in way more locations now, and especially in the green and pink Brinstar areas. So this could really change how they decide to approach, what they do with it.
Yeah, but so like Kip was saying, with the bombs and Spazer, another thought that went into this was to see if we could figure out, there's some hard gating that goes on. In particular, Wreck Ship has some hard gating when it comes to Speed Booster to get into the reserve location. And so the idea was to try to figure out situations like that, if there's some other interesting thing that could happen, where maybe we could take some less used items and provide some functionality. So bombs and Spazer were both identified. And so now you can access that Wreck Ship reserves location using a regular bomb, not a power bomb, not screw attack, nothing like that, just a regular bomb. And then Spazer was updated because, you know, you can watch randomizers and people will literally find Spazer and just turn right around. So Spazer now can be used to access Waterway in Brinstar, and then also to get through to Bot Wound, where you would typically be required to have speed or ice.
Yeah, for most players, they're going to be able to. Most players would use Ice Beam or Speed Booster to get through Meridia. Now, technically, you could finish Meridia without ice or speed, even without having to do a Crystal Flash clip. You could do it with Spazer only. But the catch there is if you do it that way, then technically you will not have any item that'll allow you to Zeb skip. So that means you would have to collect more ammo. So it's a give and take. I'm really curious. In particular, I think we're going to find out even more about what's possible with this randomizer as we see the best players race it, because the diversity that you're allowed to sort of play with is really a lot higher. And so I'm really curious to see how people approach, you know, the sort of macro strats. But let's talk real quick. I want to say thank you to Mass here for not only helping me with this randomizer, and Fiesel for helping me set this up, but also Dimensive is tracking for us today, which we really appreciate that. And then we've got somewhere around 15 or so people in this qualifier. The 4 racers we have right here are Zoast, Sloaters, Osse, and Zeb. All excellent Super Metroid randomizer players. All have had a lot of success in randomizer tournaments. So this is the first qualifier. And then, you know, tonight we'll see who qualifies, and we'll have another one at 7 p.m. Osse doing some awesome early X-ray checking here.
Yeah, that's always a real impressive strat. And I feel like, I know Sloaters pulls that one off a lot. I feel like if you can do it, I don't know, do you run that strat a lot?
Yeah, I'm a little bit more conservative when I'm playing randomizers, depending on my opponent, but a lot of times I'll only do that if I have like bombs or spring ball to where I can get up there if I miss.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely a good strat to get that item right.
I mean, you're right. It's so unforgiving if you can't pull it off. If you're consistent like Osse and, you know, these other guys at it, it can make or break, right? You can find that key progression item and, you know, all of a sudden an hour and a half seed turns into a 45-minute seed. So.
Right. I'm curious to see in the future for Dash in particular, given the fact that there's way more ways to be able to complete seeds, I'm curious to see if X-ray early becomes less of a thing, because technically you could be penalized less even if it's a decent item. But we'll see. We'll see how people approach these things. Mass mentioned earlier that this was originally based on the 2017 tournament. So I would just want to point out for anyone who's unfamiliar, Suitless Meridia is technically on the table for these seeds. Obviously, we're not going to see it in this seed because they've already found the gravity suit. But, you know, you can technically have the gravity suit item at Mama Turtle, at Botwoon, and at the Sandpit location. So we'll have to see if we end up seeing any suitless seeds here in the qualifiers.
Yeah, and it's probably, you know, people that are familiar with 2017 may say, you'd already mentioned that gravity is in a location in Dash that wouldn't have been present in the 2017 tournament. And so it's probably worth mentioning that part of this effort, along with figuring out ways to diversify, was, you know, you and I both spent a lot of time looking at statistics and seeing probabilities of items being at certain locations. And so that's another thing that went into Dash, was saying we want to equal those out as much as possible, with the idea being to really be as random as we could be, and just try to avoid, you know, extreme likelihood that a certain item is going to be in a certain place.
Exactly. Looks like we got Zos going for the early X-ray too, but he's already got the grapple beam, so it's not going to be nearly as dangerous for him. But yeah, to your point, Mass, basically, once again, you know, we realize that, you know, some people like to play randomizers just because they like the search for items and the adventure of it, and those are great too. I enjoy those as well. But we kind of wanted to create a randomizer for Super Metroid that didn't really currently exist in terms of what you could do potentially with style of play. And I'm very confident that the changes that we've put in will allow more categories like low percent or RBO, like some of the elements of those strategies or those categories in speedrunning, to be more utilized in the style of play for randomizer. So I'm really excited to see what these guys do with this. Real quick, we had a question in the chat. There's a lot of people in this qualifier. I'll just try to read through it real quick. We got 64-bit Link, Cassidy Moen, Cross Product, Sign in Mache, Phoenix Down 23, Fruit Bat Salad, Glausio Souza, Hero 82, Maniacal, Noxious Nick, Osse101, Antinomy, Shiny Zenny, Sloaters, TG Derp, Toasty, Zeb, and Zoast. So we got a packed house today and a lot of really good Super Metroid runners in this qualifier. So this is going to be really cool to see who ends up qualifying. But don't worry, if someone doesn't qualify in this particular race, you're allowed to race in all 4 of the qualifiers, even if you qualify. And what we're going to do is we're going to seed the tournament based on your fastest time. So it's technically, even if a player, you know, qualified in this first race, it would still be in their best interest to race in all the qualifiers, because you just don't know what seeds are going to be like. So if you don't get in on this race, then don't worry. There's still plenty of opportunities. We have 1 more race today and 2 next week.
So here we got an interesting divergence going on here. We've got Osse already down in Norfair doing some hell runs with that 50% reduction with gravity, whereas Zoast over here said, screw it, I'm going to Meridia.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm really curious to see if people will purposefully pick up more E-tanks, knowing that they can potentially hell run in Lower Norfair now. You know, there came a point in the past where it basically just came down to you have to find various suit pretty much. Now you don't necessarily have to. So I'm curious to see if those E-tanks get a little bit more utility. So now that we've tried to explain all the differences, we're about 12 minutes in. Maybe we can now put a little bit more emphasis on what's actually happening. I noticed that several runners picked up the miner at Kraid. Sloaters just did. I really like that play. They were rewarded with a super missile. One thing that we changed is, since super missiles are super powerful, we actually adjusted the ratio. A lot of randomizers, I think, personally put way too many super missiles into play. So in this particular randomizer, there are 34 regular missiles, there are 14 super missiles, and and 18 power bombs. So way more power bombs for crystal flashing potential, way less supers in terms of using them to kill Ridley and stuff like that. But the good news, part of the reason I think it's going to be so interesting is that since there's less supers, but you also have the starter charge beam, and you can finish the game without finding regular charge or a ton of ammo. People will still probably want to find a decent amount of ammo, though, because that ammo can become a lot more valuable when your charge beam doesn't do nearly as much damage. So I'm really curious to see, how people manage their minor item distribution throughout the run. All right, so we've got Zeb going to pick up his Spazer Beam location. Zos getting ready to fight everyone's favorite snake, Batwoon. This is another area where it's like, technically you could come into this with a lot less ammo because you can't soft lock. But at the same time, just because you can't soft lock doesn't mean you can't get punished. If you only have the starter charge beam and don't have a very powerful beam, then you could end up having to hit Batwoon if you run out of ammo with tons and tons of charge shots. So that could actually penalize you in terms of time. So far not finding anything in Meridia. Osse about to check the Bubble Mountain locations. If y'all take a quick look at Osse's health, you'll note that it is ticking down slower than what you would sort of be accustomed to. That's because the gravity suit gives you that 50% damage reduction to heat damage.
Yeah, and another thing to mention, there's probably some folks that aren't as experienced with Super Metroid, and maybe if you played through casually, you may or may not know that in the vanilla game, gravity actually gives you 100% reduction. But it's pretty common in randomizers, and this is true in I think all of them except for Dash at this point, to take away heat reduction completely from gravity.
That's right. I'm pretty sure that there are some other randomizers out there that are interested in our changes that want to add them once we announce them. So we'll probably see a little bit more of that in the future. But I do think that having that as a functionality really opens up the game a lot more. Diversity is something that we're looking for, and with the vanilla game, gravity's super overpowered. I also understand why people changed it to not allow any heat reduction damage in randomizers, but I think we're in a nice sweet spot with that 50%.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I mean, gravity in a randomizer, yeah, way overpowered. So,
If gravity allowed water movement and 100% reduction to heat damage like it does in vanilla, it would just be the most extremely powerful thing in any randomizer. So it looks like we're going to get a little bit of a interesting Dragon fight from zoasty here. He doesn't really have any great movement items. In fact, I don't think he has any movement items at all. But he does have grapple, so he still should be able to do a quick grapple kill. But even if he didn't, he could use his starter charge beam to do pseudo screws and his missiles and supers to do a low percent fight. In the meantime, Zeb wrapped up his Kraid collections. Osse has managed to find the speed booster and screw attack, and Sloaters is heading towards Bubble Mountain as well. And Zoast got a little bit trolled there by the goo, so he's just gonna have to sit tight for a minute. One other change that we made is the Various suit offers 50% damage reduction towards enemies. So does the Gravity suit. It's only when you combine them that you get the full 75% damage reduction. So he took a good bit of damage from Dragon there, but she was friendly and didn't hit him anymore. So let's see if he can find anything good at this Dragon location. Unfortunately, just another E-tank for Zoast here. So far, Meridia has not been very kind in terms of offering anything good. Sloaters is going to use his grapple beam to go check this Bubble Mountain Reserve location.
And here's another great example. We see Zoast going with some RBO strats.
Yeah, I love that. That's pretty cool. He could have done a gravity jump too, but he's swagging it up a little bit. Screw attack's gonna make lower Norfair a lot more, I guess a lot less dangerous. One thing I do like though is that, a lot of the top runners, when I was discussing this Dash randomizer with him and we were kind of theory crafting a little bit, some people had the concern that like, well, if we allow gravity to have 50% damage reduction to heat, then that might make lower Norfair hell runs a little bit too free. But I can assure you, after a lot of testing by multiple people, we have determined that that's definitely not the case. Because if you try to go down there and do an RBO hell run in lower Norfair, but you only have the gravity suit and you don't have other overpowered items like screw attack to make it, way more friendly and easy, then it's very possible to get down there and get killed to Ridley and other enemies, because not only are you constantly taking heat damage, but you're only getting 50% damage reduction from having gravity only. So it's a nice, I think we got a nice balance of risk reward at the moment. One thing I do want to mention to anybody out there, anyone is welcome to try the Dash randomizer. If you type in !dash, there will be a command in here that will show you a link to our tournament But within that tournament link, there is a link to the main page of the Dash Randomizer where you guys can, see all the changes and then actually, like download the program for yourself to try it. It is definitely friendly towards newer players. This is the same logic that was used in 2017. Hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people have completed seeds. We didn't make completing seeds any harder. We just allowed, I like to call it, instead of raising the floor, like the floor is still the same, but we raised the ceiling a little bit by putting in some advanced tactics. So even if you're a newer player, you can still definitely enjoy the Dash Randomizer. But if you're a really experienced player, you technically have more opportunity to sort of flex your speedrunning skills in this particular randomizer that you couldn't in a lot of other randomizers. So this is going to be really cool to kind of show, to have these runners showcase their skills. Already, Mass, we're seeing some things that we don't normally see in randomizers, like what Zos has been doing and whatnot.
Yep. And I was curious if we would see Zos, since he already committed to Meridia, if we'd see him go for, like a plasma check.
Yeah, it looks like he decided not to, and he also didn't check Shack Tool, so now he's going to go about his merry way. But the good news is this: even though he whiffed on finding any major items, technically speaking, let's imagine that Varia was at Shack Tool or something, right?
Yeah.
So he could end up having more E-tanks than everybody else by the time he gets into finishing Norfair. So he could just go ahead and decide, I'm going to go ahead and hell run because I've got way more health. Of course, we haven't seen anybody go to wreck ship yet either, so we'll have to wait and see about that. One thing I would like to point out is Zeb has regular bombs. He's the only player, I think, with regular bombs at the moment, unless I'm mistaken. But that means that he would be able to get into the wreck ship reserve location even if he did not have speed booster. So, if you find bombs early but not speed booster, you're not technically locked out of checking that item location. Looks like Sloaters is getting ready for some lower Norfair hell runs. Mass, let's go, baby.
He's going for it.
For the record, the Varia suit cannot be in lower Norfair, okay? We actually did not make any changes to the logic in terms of like how it places items for completion. Like, it doesn't necessarily read that the Spazer Beam can be part of your progression. It doesn't read that bombs can be part of your progression. But having Varia in lower Norfair is not something that will ever be forced. So technically, the fact that they have the gravity suit means it can be in Meridia or wreck ship. But Sloaters knows in advance he's not going to find it. What he's going to try to do with this 250 health that he has left is he's going to try to hurry up and get this green gate glitch and then make it into the screw attack room so that he can use the energy refill. The only thing I'm a little worried about is how's he going to get out of here? I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Here it goes.
Yeah, okay. He doesn't have a way to currently get out without killing Golden Torizo and using his speed booster, so he's just going to reset, and now he's just going to get going. But if you look at his ammo, he's got 38, 23, 29. That's plenty of ammo to do a Crystal Flash, and with how experienced he is with RBO, even though this item set's going to be different, he's going to have a pretty good idea about how to get all the way to the Firefly location. And he might have to only Crystal Flash once. But another good thing, a lot of people don't realize that the grapple beam is extremely powerful when you're talking about farming for RBO. So the fact that he has this to farm before Ridley is going to be extremely helpful. Worst stream in the game is definitely going to be Monka S, but at the same time, Sloaters has proven that he can do the insanely tight wall jump at the top. So my guess is he's going to kill these pirates and then Crystal Flash and then try to do the wall jump.
Yeah, of course, there's the excellent low ice worst room in the game strat, but because he only has the starter charge beam. That I know Sloaters knows that one, but it's just not gonna be able to happen today.
Yo, Sloaters on
There
the
he gets
third
it.
try. That is extremely efficient. Nice job. That is a very hard trick to do. I don't think I've ever done it in a randomizer before. I've done it in practice like a few times, but that's a tight trick. So excellent job by him. And yeah, to your point, Brad, or excuse me, Mass, that's a great point. He does have the starter charge, but that isn't going to do enough damage to pull off that low percent ice worst room in the game strat. In the meantime, Osse is now also in Meridia. Let's see if we find something good. I'm rooting for like some high jump boots or something like that. What do we got at Firefly here for Sloaters?
Let's see.
Oh, it's the Spazer Beam.
And you could tell, I think for a second, he was like, I don't know if I want it.
True, but the other good news is that in this particular randomizer, since you have a starter charge beam, that means that any beam that you pick up is going to help you. It's going to do damage. It's going to do extra damage to Ridley. It's going to do extra damage to Mother Brain. So I basically, whenever I've done my practice runs of the Dash randomizer, I will never skip a beam. Also, yeah, Poplar's in the chat just mentioned this is actually important. Because the starter charge beam does have the functionality of charge, even though it does less damage on a charge shot, it still allows pseudo screws that do full damage, and every special beam attack does full damage too. In one of our first showcase races, we had a really good runner, Asger, who came up with a Spazer SBA strat because it did way more damage than regular Spazer charge shots with the starter charge beam. So I'm really curious to see, like, you know, what people come up with, because there's all kinds of opportunities in this randomizer that basically would never happen in any other context. Zeb killing Croc. He's going to head down to the grapple location. So where do you think Varia is, Mass? I mean, we haven't seen it yet. I guess it's got to be Plasma, Shack Tool, or Wreck Ship, right?
Well, I mean, it could be at Croc, right? It could be at the grapple location.
I thought we had someone who already checked the Croc location. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But nobody on our restream, like there's a bunch of other players. It'd be really funny if Varia was in, you know, Wreck Ship, and we had a bunch of other people that went up there first and like already have the Varia suit and aren't doing any hell runs, but then like all of the players on the restream are doing the hell runs.
Yeah, I think that'll be an interesting thing with Dash as people get more comfortable playing with it. When something new comes out, it's really tempting to, you know, to say, oh, well, I can hell run, so I should. But it may not be the case once a meta of sorts starts to develop.
All right, so while everyone else is just kind of looking for items, I kind of like to put a little bit of emphasis on Sloaters here. Sloaters has managed to Crystal Flash back up to full health. He's in really fine shape right now. In terms of what he's accustomed to with RBO runs, which, by the way, Sloaters has the 4th fastest time ever in RBO, which is a brutal category, so he's extremely experienced. Zoast, on the other hand, has the 2nd fastest time. Shiny Zenny has the world record, and he's actually in this race too. He's just not on the restream. So we got a lot of RBO experience here, but he's very experienced with this situation. This is basically like having full E-tanks in terms of the damage he's taken, because since the heat damage is reduced by half, he's basically able to Like, it's almost like he has 14 tanks for what he would be accustomed to. So he's going to sit here and farm until he gets up to 30 supers so he can make quick work of Ridley, and then that way he can farm back up to get out. By the way, I want to give a quick shout out. I think the music y'all are hearing right now, the upper Norfair music, I think it's an underrated track. Because it's not like normal, you know, fun music you tap your foot to, but it's very ominous and it really sets the stage. I think it's like really atmospheric. All right, let's watch the Ridley fight. We got the Dream double boss, Croc and Ridley on the screen at the same time. 30 supers should do it. Sloaters wants to be careful not to miss any. He won't soft lock even if he does, because he's got that starter charge beam and several missiles, and he should be very comfy with his health. He should not have any trouble, you know, killing Ridley and then being able to get out to refarm the bugs. Yeah, he's in great shape. So excellent, beautiful fight there by Sloaters. In the meantime, Osse, the first one of our runners on this restream, making his way into the wrecked ship location. So let's see if he can dispatch a Phantoon. Yo, we got space jump. That's gonna make getting out of lower Norfair a lot easier. He'll be able to space jump across some of the rooms, and also having the screw attack, he can just basically run into anything. So honestly, Sloaters has enough health. Like he'll probably farm a little bit right here, but considering the changes to the gravity suit, he has enough health where he could probably just roll through lower Norfair and make it out okay.
We see Osse handle the ghost, no problem.
Yeah, nice fight there by Osse. I do want to give a quick shout out here. A lot of these guys have really helped us out lately with some Dash stuff. Zoast in particular, he and I both went to Atlanta about a month ago for DreamHack Atlanta, where he was kind enough to be featured in the first sort of true Dash randomizer race. And then Zeb and Osse and Mass here, all four of us were together at the SG Live event back in October, where we had a ton of fun hanging out. Really want to thank Fiesel and everybody at SpeedGaming for putting that on. And we actually had the two of them race in a crowd control Dash race there. And they helped us test some seeds when we were first putting these ideas together. So, and then Sloaters also behind the scenes has ran a bunch of seeds for me and given me a lot of feedback. So this whole Dash thing, even though, you know, this sort of idea came from, you know, many hours of speedrunning and thinking about how to change randomizers, there are a ton of people like Mass here and all the rest of the people that have helped me that have really kind of helped it come into existence. So really want to thank everybody for their help in putting this together. Did you see Osse skipped the did he skip the energy tank location at Wreck Ship?
You know, I looked away.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track of four people and chat. That's why I don't envy the trackers at all. Looks like Osse found Charge, the original Charge Beam.
Okay.
Let's see what item is here at the okay, Plasma Beam at the Wreck Ship Reserve. We still haven't found Varia though. Dude, is this the Dream Shack tool? By the way, I want to make sure everybody understands something. Okay, the qualifier seeds are completely randomized. Like, this is not a randomizer. We did not, like, I had no idea where the items are whenever I sent this seed out. So if it happens to be a Variant Shack tool seed, that is definitely not something that we planned in advance, but that would be pretty crazy. We got a sick lava spark there from Zoast into lower Norfair, and he's got a ton of health, and again that grapple beam, so he's going to be good to get through here. Looks like Zeb is also hell running. We got 3 out of the 4 runners deciding to hell run lower Norfair. It's very interesting.
So it's a little hard to say. I guess is Sloaters in the lead?
I don't know, man. It's really hard to tell. And honestly, I think we're gonna not be able to fully tell as much as in the past.
Yeah.
Usually with other randomizers, it's a little bit more clear, but with this one, there's so much, like, especially if you think about the boss fights down the line, you know, somebody having charge beam versus somebody only having starter charge, like, it's gonna make a huge difference with people not having as much ammo and stuff. So, I don't know who's in the lead, to be honest with you. Okay, I've got a feeling that Osse's about to run into Various suit at Gravity. Y'all ready? I'm calling it right now. Here's the Various suit. Oh, dude. I think that means it's at Plasma or at Shack. Or maybe Waterway, actually.
Well, but at this point, is Osse the only one even looking for Variant?
That's true. The Various suit will not matter as much to the rest of the runners, and that's part of what we're going for here is like, hey, I didn't find Vari in a good spot, but I used my skill to get through Lower Norfair. But don't, you know, before people say, well, oh, that's making it too free, don't forget that these runners are having to invest a lot of time into being careful in Lower Norfair and farm, whereas if they had the Various suit, they wouldn't. So it's definitely you know, a risk-reward situation. It's hard to tell exactly what's going to be fastest. Dash basically, from a strategic point of view, comes down to, do I want to invest time into riskier boss fights and longer farms, or do I want to invest time into searching for item?
Yeah, you know, it also, obviously, when you watch these, it looks easy.
Definitely not easy.
Definitely not easy. And if we look at, you know, Sloaters went down, maybe even quicker than Zoast and Zeb did. But Sloaters and Zoast are both, you know, top 5 RBO runners.
Exactly.
So.
But we gotta give Zeb his credit too. You know, Zeb had a real nice Lower Norfair.
Oh yeah.
You could tell that he, as you kind of were pointing out, he wasn't necessarily trying to go there immediately. But once he got enough energy tanks, he felt pretty comfortable with it. So, you know, I really like that this randomizer, you know, I'm not trying to float my own boat, but one of the things I'm trying to achieve is a little bit more of a choose your own adventure without having to be heavily gated by items. I feel like that's a little bit more in the spirit of what Super Metroid actually is as a game anyway. And so I really like the diversity that we're seeing here. So we've currently got 2 runners in Lower Norfair. We got Zeb on his way out, Zoast on his way to Ridley, Sloaters on his way to Dragon, and Osse is going to be going to Lower Norfair as well, but he, as we pointed out earlier, has way more health. So he might actually can get through Lower Norfair without having to Crystal Flash at all. So that could save some time too, because he might not have to farm quite as much. Mass, you know what I really want to see at some point in this qualifier?
What's that?
I want to see somebody run Lower Norfair without screw attack. Suitless.
Suitless?
Well, without the Various suit, you know.
Okay.
With the gravity suit. I would not recommend anyone to do Lower Norfair completely suitless in a randomizer. The one small thing, if you guys pay attention, I should have pointed this out earlier, but all 3 of the runners so far that have completed Lower Norfair have had to be careful about their Crystal Flash health range. Because the gravity suit is blocking 50% of that damage, if you're an experienced RBO runner, then the point at which you can place the power bomb to get the Crystal Flash is actually different, because you're taking less damage, so you're ticking down slower. Does that make sense? You have to reach that below 50 threshold before you can crystal flash. When you're in RBO, you can usually drop it around 80, you know, somewhere between 70 and 80, and it'll be at 50 by the time it's time to activate the crystal flash. Here, you'd have to wait a little bit longer.
Got Osse going for the, what is it, 1 frame jump here?
Yeah, Osse is a very experienced runner, especially combo randomizer player and Super Metroid and Link to the Past randomizer player. This is definitely a trick I've seen him do multiple times. He can definitely do it. It just takes a second because it's really, really particular, but I'm sure he'll get it here in just a second. This was a troll seed to a degree because, you know, the fact that they didn't really have a great way to get up through worst room in the game for some of them. That's kind of unfortunate, but at the same time, one thing I would like to point out is our randomizer does not have seed speed, so it's not like purposely trying to plandomizer you and troll you. So if you happen to run into a situation where, you know, you don't have the items that you would prefer, it's not because the seed is purposely trying to make you slow, it's just that that's how it shook out from a random point of view. Yeah, Poplars, I think that that's definitely not accurate. Like, Shack Tool does not have a very high percentage chance at all. I've only heard, like, I've talked to every single person who's tested these Dash randomizers. I think we've only had a couple seeds so far that's actually happened. But if you guys see something that seems troll, that's like just because the seed happened to put it out that way. There hasn't been any changes to make anything more difficult or more crazy. In fact, I'm like very anti from a philosophical point of view. I hate the fact that some randomizers sort of like want things to be more troll more often, because to me, that's not what the fun is. If it's troll every time, then that's just the norm, right? So the point is, some seeds are going to be easy, some seeds are going to be hard, but you don't know which one it's going to be until you're in it, and you have to kind of adjust to it along the way. Zoasty was able to easily finish up Ridley there. He's going to farm a little bit of supers and health here from the Metal Pirates on the way out. In the meantime, Sloaters probably, I would assume he's going to kill Fantoon and then dip. But here's the catch, okay? This is another thing that I find incredibly fascinating, because this type of situation would almost never occur in another randomizer. Look at the amount of health that Sloaters has. He has 8 energy tanks, but he did not end up picking up Various Suit. That means that Mother Brain, her Rainbow Beam, is going to do 600 damage to him, and her attacks are going to do twice as much damage as they normally do, because he's only going to have 50% damage reduction to enemy attacks. So that means that when he gets to Mother Brain, he actually has to have a legitimate Mother Brain fight where he has to control how he's, you know, moving through the fight, making sure not to get hit because he could die. On top of that, he does not have the vanilla charge beam at the moment, and he only has Spazer and Ice. His charge shots are probably going to do about, oh man, I don't know. If he only did charge shots, he'd probably have to do several hundred shots against Mother Brain. So what he's probably going to want to do is refill at the ship so he has some ammo backup, and then he'll go from there. And Sloaters wrapping up his Fantoon fight. Very nice. Osse getting ready to do the farm. Now, Osse did not end up picking up the grapple beam. Osse skipped several item locations, so he currently doesn't have high jump boots or grapple. So his farm here is going to be a good bit slower. There we go.
Yeah. I did just check from the last time we ran stats, and to address it, that there is about a 3% chance that Varia could be at Shack Tool, which is consistent with almost every major location.
Yeah, we didn't try to prioritize. There are a few things that we, you know, kept in place that were the same in terms of we don't want suits being in criteria and stuff like that. But otherwise, we didn't really put any kind of emphasis on making sure any item was anywhere. I'm a big proponent, and you know, and I'm willing to have people disagree. You know, obviously, since I put this randomizer together, sort of with my vision for what I wanted the playstyle to be. My vision is I kind of feel like it's more interesting when some seeds are, you know, faster and some are slower, and you just have to adjust to whatever you have as opposed to it constantly being troll. So I think that's going to be better. You know, I don't want Varia Shack Tool to be something that happens, you know, like all the time or anything like that. The idea of Shack Tool having your one progression item happening very frequently to me is really silly. So I would not want that in this Dash randomizer. Okay, Sloaters picked up the vanilla charge beam. So that means that his Mother Brain fight will now be pretty much like 3 times as fast in terms of the damage his charge beam does. So that's a really good pickup for him. He also can Zeb skip with the ice shot. I mean, Sloaters is very good anyway. He understands how to Zeb skip with the speed booster and whatnot, but the ice one is, in my opinion, a lot sort of easier and more consistent. So he'll be able to do that. We have several people who have forfeited from the race. I won't necessarily mention who they are at the moment, but one thing I will say about the Dash randomizer is you have a lot more opportunity to finish seeds with less items, but the only way for you to do it is to be able to take risk and be able to pull off that risk. And I think we're going to see more people die than normal, and I think that's a good thing because Super Metroid speedrunning can be very, very dangerous. But as mentioned, Sloaters is our first runner on the restream into Torian. I have no idea who all else is in Torian. Looks like Sloaters accidentally got caught there by one of the Metroids, so he's going to have to powerbomb these guys, and then he'll go back to ice and supering the rest, I'm sure. Zeb's going to head over to fight Fantoon. Looks like the runners are trying to get a little bit more ammo. See, this is another thing that I love, man. I think it's so fascinating that people have a starter charge beam. They can definitely kill Mother Brain, right? Yet they're still at the end of runs searching for minor items because it might be faster to have a little bit more of the minor items, and it will make it way less risky. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times have we seen people with charge beam really look for items late, minor items, in terms of missiles or regular supers? Excuse me, regular missiles or supers.
Yeah, agreed.
And it's funny too, since there's more power bombs, people are getting trolled by that. Usually in a lot of other randomizers, people are searching for power bombs if they don't have the ice beam. That'll be less of a concern in Dash. So ladies and gentlemen, we have Sloaters here at the baby Metroid, but so far no one has done in this race. So remember, the top 4 runners of this qualifier will automatically be qualified for the one-day tournament on January the 18th for cash prizes. You guys have the link there to see the information. The top 8 runners will actually win at least a little bit. But we're going to have an all-day tournament featured on SpeedGaming with a few races on SpeedGaming 2 or one of the other SpeedGaming channels on that day. To my knowledge, I don't know of any other one-day tournament in Super Metroid history, especially one that's been like restreamed like this. So I'm extremely excited that this opportunity is here for the runners, and we're going to have a really good time with it. Somebody mentioned earlier about Mass and I being in the tournament. We're not going to be in the qualifiers of the tournament because we're running everything behind the scenes. So you'll probably hear me on commentary a lot throughout the qualifiers in the tournament. But Zoast had an absolutely gorgeous 2-round Fantoon fight right there, and I'd expect no less. He's one of our absolute best Fantoon fighters in the community. Sloaters has probably around 40% of Mother Brain's health in ammo, maybe slightly higher than that. So he's going to unload some of that and then use his charge shots to get her into the catch-up phase, and then he'll probably close the oh no, he's going to actually unload all the ammo now and then do charge shots throughout the red beam phase.
Well, I'm not sure if you noticed that that he decided to go for the speed skip anyhow.
Oh, did he? That's awesome. Well, he probably did it because he didn't unequip screw attack. But real quick, as I mentioned earlier, this is actually a way more tense fight than it would have been in the normal sort of randomizer logics. He's going to take twice as much damage from all of Mother Brain's attacks, and he's going to take 600 damage from the Rainbow Beam because he does not have the Various Suit. So he needs to make sure to stay at 601 or higher. If he takes a catch-up right here, I think he might could take one catch-up and still survive, but he's really going to have to be careful, and he needs to be careful when running into Mother Brain as well to trigger the ending sequence, because he's going to take twice as much damage every time he runs into her. So let's see how this goes. In the meantime, Zeb wrapping up his Fantoon fight. Zoast on his way to Torian. And I don't think any of our 4 runners here are going to find Varia. I wonder who all found Varia. All right, nicely done, Sloaters. And it's looking very likely that Sloaters will be our first finisher on the restream. Whether or not he will be one of the top 4 runners to finish this seed, we'll find out. But I have a hunch he probably will be. I think Sloaters played really well, and for those people that happen to find Varia, that means they had to invest the time to go there. So we'll have to wait and see. One thing I do want to point out is, and I know the chat will be disappointed about this, but it is sort of a necessary evil, if you will. When we get to the credits, we have updated the credits to include all the people who worked on the Dash Randomizer. Unfortunately, we had to put in some brand new protections in place to make sure that these seeds couldn't be cracked for cheating purposes. And so part of that protection, it's kind of hard to explain, but you will not see where the item locations are in the credits. But I promise you, it's not because we don't think it's important or that people don't want to see it. It just is a logistical thing that had to happen.
Yeah, and that's also, if you go get the application for generating Dash seeds, you will be able to see it. This is a special prevention for the tournament.
That's right. When you guys run, normal Dash seeds, like these seeds are normal. The tournament seeds are no different than the current normal seeds in terms of, how everything works. The only difference is we have further protections in place to make sure that nobody can crack them and try to cheat and around. Which obviously I do want to say, I don't think anybody in the Super Metroid community, especially none of our actual consistent runners who participate in events, none of them, are people who would cheat, but we also just want to make sure that there's no opportunity for that. Zoast pulling off the excellent baby skip. Very nice. And in the meantime, Sloaters has dropped Mother Brain 3. We still do not have a single dot done. So unless something crazy happens in the next maybe minute and 20 seconds, Sloaters is most likely going to be one of our first 4 qualifiers for the tournament. Very excited. Zoast also going for the speed Zeb skip. Osse right behind. He's wrapping up his Metroid killings. And Sloaters has finished. Well, I guess we should wait. But my mistake. That was a poorly executed commentary by me. But Sloaters is going to be the first place finisher in this particular race.
Are you sure?
I'm confident that that's going to be the case. So Sloaters is going to end up, you know what, I'm already ahead. I might as well just act like I know the future, right? He's going to finish with an official SRL time of 54:17. So he is the very first person to qualify for the Dash one-day cash tournament. And Mass, I believe you wanted me to call it the Dash for Cash. Is that right?
Dash for cash.
So Sloaters will be dashing for cash here in January. Congratulations to him. And we'll have to see what else that happens here. Congratulations to Sloaters. And my apologies, Chad. I forgot where I was there for a second.
This is Kip's first time doing commentary, so don't worry.
Yeah, I don't talk a lot. You know, I don't really discuss Super Metroid very much, so my mistake. All right, zoasty is doing his mother brain fight. Did I hear somebody come in? Is that Sloaters?
I don't think so.
I don't see him yet.
Maybe not. I thought we had somebody come into the channel, but apparently I was mistaken. So look at Osse and Zeb real quick. Look how tight this is. Osse going to have Mother Brain 1 down a little bit faster. He's got the Plasma Beam, but in full charge. Zeb only has Baby Charge, but Zeb has a ton of ammo. This is actually going to be really, really tight. Plus, Zeb has high jump boots. I think this is going to end up being a really, really close match between Osse and Zeb. My goodness. Zoast also only has Baby Charge and not much ammo. He's in the red beam phase, but he might not even finish before. Dude, this is incredible. This is basically we have 3 people having 3 completely different Mother Brain fights all together. And this just goes to show you how the item sets and the way things work in here can very drastically impact how boss fights end up affecting your time. This is insane.
Yep, and we see Zeb first done.
So Zeb, with the Baby Charge without Plasma, but with a ton of ammo, was able to finish first. Zoast was the one who got here earliest but had the least amount of ammo and only had Baby Charge. He's going to actually finish this fight last. This is incredible, man. None of these runners, well, Osse will do stand-up, I guess, but I don't know. With only the Plasma Beam, I don't know if it's going to be enough to catch Zeb. We'll find out, though. We will find out. This is going to be very fascinating. Plus, Zeb still has high jump boots, which will make a difference in the escape. So we'll have to wait and see. Oh, no. Zoast forgot that he did not have the Various suit. Oh, no. I have a feeling that that will not be the last time we see that. I guess if there's any consolation, I mean, nobody wants to die that way. That's a obviously not fun way to have the run in. But if it's any consolation, it does look like Zeb and Osse are going to finish before Zoast would have anyway. So that would have only left one more spot for Zoast to get for the qualifiers. We don't currently have a second place person yet, so it still could have been possible that Zoast would have gotten that 4th spot, but we'll have to wait and see. In the next maybe minute and a half or so, if we have another finisher who's streaming, you know, who's off stream, then Zoast would not have made the 4th spot anyway. But valiant effort by Zoast there. Okay, Zeb is going to finish slightly in front of Osse, like literally seconds. But I think Zeb, if he plays cleanly, will have a little bit of an advantage with that high jump boot that Osse does not have. But man, what a race. All of these runners doing completely different things, yet gaining and losing time in various places due to their choices with ammo and beam management. I also find this ironic. They don't know what's happening, but you know, Mass and I spent a lot of time with Zeb and Osse at SG Live a couple months ago, and they did a lot of races and stuff together. And this is like par for the course. They're like right next to it. Okay, that high jump boot definitely was helping there for Zeb. Looks like he's pulled away a little bit from Osse here. Ooh, Osse unfortunately having a not very good spark there. So definitely looks like Zeb is going to finish here. And you know what? Zeb is going to finish in second place with an official SRL time of 59:54. Congratulations to Zeb in the first qualifier, qualifying for the one-day tournament. And let's see if Osse can get to the ship before we have two other .duns. Congratulations to Osse101, finishing in third place with an official SRL time of 1 hour and 24 seconds. So he is also going to qualify, and that means that more than likely Zoast probably would have qualified too, because he would have only been a few seconds behind Osse. That's very unfortunate that Zoast died. All right, so we've got a lot of other people still racing. I don't know who's going to be the fourth place finisher, but we've got some people that you might consider checking on. We got Fruit Bat Salad, Maniacal. Several people have forfeited, unfortunately. I think Zenny might still be racing. Got 64-bit Link, Sign and Mache. Several people have forfeited, I think, unfortunately, maybe due to some Mother Brain shenanigans or other things. But let's see who we got in here.
Looks like Osse and Zeb. Hey, guys.
What's up, boys?
Hey.
Hey.
Congratulations. We think it's really funny that the two of y'all finished so close together and both qualified for the Dash one-day tournament, especially after, you know, doing some Dash seeds at SG Live and you guys racing each other. So congratulations to both of you. Excellent job. You guys, the two of y'all and Zoast, were all at Mother Brain at exactly the same time. Like, y'all have to go back and rewatch because the way y'all's ammo and beams all were totally different really affected the fights. So congratulations. Tell us a little bit, Zeb and Osse, y'all just kind of take the floor here. Tell us a little bit about how you felt about the seed, and we'll go from there.
I felt pretty good about that seed. I was really, really happy when I found the high jump at Croc, because I really wanted any movement item to help me through Suitless 4 and Norfair. Felt like I wanted a bunch of ammo, both to help me with Crystal Flash clipping, as well as to help me with the and Mother Brain fight and Ridley. So I kind of played it pretty safe on the ammo side. I probably could have skipped the last couple of checks that I made, and it would have been fine. I probably should have done that, saved myself a little bit of time, but wanted to play it really safe.
Excellent. Well, I think that definitely paid off because your lower Norfair was a lot more comfy with those high jump boots. Osse, you did not have the high jump boots. In fact, I was really impressed with the item set that you were able to finish with. Tell us a little bit about how the seed experience was for you.
I didn't find much of anything. So I guess I was like, kind of panicky the entire playthrough. I got to Pink Brain down a power bomb, and so that kind of forced my route back to X-ray. Did the 1E tank X-ray check, and that was risky for little gain. Went down to Norfair. I wanted to hell run it, but didn't really have a good equipment set. So then I had to go all the way up to Wreck Ship and ended up being, and that just felt like too much of a time loss to be competitive. But
that's true. And sorry to interrupt you real quick, but we do have some people who are finishing up here on the stream. Looks like Cross Product's getting close. We'll have to wait and see if he is the fourth place finisher for this particular race. But yeah, we don't know where Varia is because none of the people on Restream found it. And the only two places I think, or the three places were Plasma, Shack Tool, and Waterway. I don't know where it was. But we got Cross Product coming up here on to the landing site. Can he make it in time to get that 4th place and be one of the first 4 qualifiers? This would also be hilarious to me because Cross Product also hung out with us at SG Live. And Cross Product finishes in 4th place with a time of 104.17. And directly behind him, TG Derp finished in 5th place with a 104.58. So those are our first 4 qualifiers for the tournament. We have Sloaters, we have Osse, we have Zeb, and we have Cross Product. But gentlemen, do either of y'all plan to come back tonight to continue to do other qualifiers to lower your time potentially, or how are you guys going to approach that?
I'm going to join another one. I think over an hour is pretty bad time for a Dash seed.
Feeling the same way. I kind of want to lower my time a bit, so probably going to do the one tonight at least.
Cool. Awesome. So yeah, guys, we really appreciate you participating. I hope you're excited about being in the tournament. I would just like to point out that technically speaking, if Zoast had not died to Mother Brain, he would have been the 4th place finisher, and I would have correctly guessed the 4 people who would have gotten the top 4 times on the restream. So I'm gonna have to give Zoast a hard time about that. He messed up my perfect record. But thank you guys so much, and I'll let you guys say anything else you want to about Dash, or just what you guys are up to if you're in any other tournaments, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Don't think I really want to say too much. Really excited for Dash, I'll say that. I think that it'll make for kind of more exciting watch when you get to see stuff like Lord Norfair without Varia suit, so I think it should be a lot of fun.
I want to say that I really like how Dash affects the Mother Brain fight, where you always have the weak charge beam, then you're incentivized to go into Mother Brain with like SBA focused kills. So I stock up on more power bombs, and the fight is a lot more active with a lot of running around compared to a normal stand to the right and shoot fight.
Exactly. And Osse, I'll be honest with you, this is my way. When I was thinking about all the stuff for Dash, I was like, how can I get Osse to run low percent ice? I'll just put something in the Dash randomizer that'll let him practice the Mother Brain fights a little bit more. And then now you can start running low percent ice with us. I'll take your silence as you've not necessarily been interested in that.
I'm trying to find how to fit Spazer into a category.
Yeah, that's one thing that I was really happy about. As you mentioned, the ability to use SBAs and have them actually be worth it and save time against Mother Brain and also potentially Ridley. I worked on some SBA strats for Spazer only when I was working on the DAB tournament. And I think in this case, considering if you only have baby charge, those Spazer SBAs can actually be pretty powerful. So I'm really curious to see how people come up with different strats to do different things. So I'm glad that you're a fan of the changes and how they affect the Mother Brain fight. This is just me personally, but I kind of felt like in most randomizers, the Mother Brain fight was a little too like free or straightforward. You either had a lot of the beams in charge or you just had a ton of ammo. And so the only real drama was usually if you missed a missile. Here, I feel like people actually have to engage with the fight. And I'm really excited to watch that unfold over the course of a lot of these seeds.
But I want to know, I was with you guys almost the whole time. What super secret trick did Kip tell y'all about so that y'all are both and Cross made the qualifier?
The seed in advance about sometime last week. We had a good amount of time to study it,
Yeah, that's good.
Actually, I was going to say, usually when you hang around with greatness, you up your game. And I mean, those three guys spent a lot of time with me at SG Live. So obviously it affected the way they play. All right, I'm just kidding. For anybody who doesn't know me, I'm totally joking. All right, we got Fruit Bat Salad wrapping up his seed. Fruit Bat Salad has, I'm actually really excited because Fruit Bat Salad is a good buddy of mine, and he's one of the first people that actually helped me with Super Metroid. And he hasn't played a ton of Super Metroid lately, but he has gotten excited about the Dash qualifiers in the tournament, and he's actually been doing a bunch of dash seeds. So it's been really fun to hang out with him and watch him kind of get back into playing Super Metroid. Looks like he's going to wrap up here with somewhere, I would assume, roughly around 110, a little bit less than 110 would be my assumption, based on where he is. I don't know what items he has. It looks like he does not have the high jump boot, so he probably did not go to Croc. And but yeah, it looks like he's probably going to finish here shortly. I don't see anybody else who's going to finish in front of him. So he's probably going to take down the 6th place time. And I don't know who all else is still active other than what we see on the screen. Zenny is currently running. We got Souza and Toasty. Toasty's in in Torian. But we still have a few people who are maybe off stream or off the restream. And we also have some people who, a lot of people forfeited. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it looks like Fruit Bat Salad's going to finish an official SRL time of 1 hour, 9 minutes, and 51 seconds to finish in 6th place. So technically, if he just does that again tonight, then he could potentially take one of the top spots, because tonight, even if Sloaters and Cross Product and Zeb and Osse all finish in the top 4 spots, their times will count in terms of towards their seeding, but they will not be eligible to take another qualifying spot. So basically, anybody other than those 4, wherever they finish, they can technically, be in the top 4 finishers that have not qualified. So Fruit Bat Salad, I'm sure we'll give it another shot tonight, and we'll see how it goes. So congratulations to him. And I can't see at the moment. Is Zeb and Osse, are you guys still in here?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me real quick, Osse, are you in any other tournaments at the moment? I know you're a very seasoned randomizer player. What do you have going on apart from the Dash?
The big one I'm in is the Link to the Past annual tournament, where I just yesterday made it out of groups and into brackets coming up in a couple weeks.
Hey, congratulations. So how many people make it into the bracket portion?
64.
All right. And for those of you that might not know, I know a lot of people watched it, but Osse not only had excellent performances in Super Metroid at the SG Live tournaments, he also was the #1 seed of the Link to the Past randomizer tournament there. So make sure to keep up with what he's doing with that tournament, as well as the other runners here on SpeedGaming, the other SpeedGaming channels. I do want to give a quick shout out to Feasel for a moment, not only for the event at SG Live, but Feasel and everybody that has worked for SpeedGaming that I've interacted with has been extremely friendly, very helpful. And the fact that I was able to contact Feasel and just ask him, like, hey, man, I would love to put on this Dash tournament. Is that a possibility? And he was very, very helpful, totally, was supportive of me putting it together and everything. So it's really cool that we have people in the community that are willing to work hard to feature the cool events that our runners deserve to participate in. So thank you to Feasel and everybody at SpeedGaming as well. We're really excited about having these qualifiers in the tournament coming up.
On stream, we see, I guess Zenny's still looking for Varia, and he wasn't happy to get high jump boots.
Oh.
whereas Toasty's over there finishing up.
All right, so Toasty's going to wrap up here soon, and Osse just left, so GG to him. Zeb, do you have anything else?
I guess check out the Randomizer League tournament. They're almost down to the top 8. Still got some top 16 matches, but I'm still doing that. That pretty exciting. You playing Ponk next round?
Yeah, Ponk is the #2 seed, if I recall correctly, for this season.
Yep.
Playoffs, and he is currently undefeated. And I think he got 2nd place in last year's Randomizer League, but he also won the, if I'm not mistaken, he won the SM Rat League / tournament.
I think so.
So he's very, very experienced and very, very good randomizer player. So how do you feel about that matchup? What do you think you're going to try to do from a strategic point of view?
Tough matchup. I think he's a good amount better than me, though. I've been practicing a lot of early X-ray so that if something good is there, I don't just lose.
Right.
But I'm not sure. I think that I don't tend to play randomizers like too differently depending on who I play against. I don't try to force the divergence because normally divergence happens naturally anyway in most randomizer seeds. Like, two people are just going to make different decisions a lot of the time. So just kind of hope that divergence happens naturally and kind of play the way I normally do.
Yeah, that's my approach too. Well, good luck to you, Zeb. You've had a fantastic season. In fact, I think I'm the only person you've lost to. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So you right now you're sitting at like what 10-1 for the season.
Yep, technically 10-1. So
yeah, that's a really good performance. So congratulations and good luck to you, man. I'll be rooting for you. Zeb and I were the top two finishers in the dopey division, and so that was cool. But it looks like we're joined here by Cross Product. Cross, what's up, dude?
Hey man, how's it going? Thanks for putting on the Dash Rando, the race, commentating, everything.
Yeah, no sweat. Thank you for participating, and I'm very excited that you have already qualified in the first race, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, me too. Seeing as how I work in a restaurant and it's the holiday season, I didn't know if I would get another shot at it, so I'm glad I got it.
Yeah, me too. So obviously I know that you haven't done like tons and tons of Dash stuff, but we saw
this is my first
a lot.
one, actually. I watched all the videos yesterday. I downloaded the client today. This is my first one.
What a prodigy, right? So, but I'm not surprised
Right.
to see you do well because, you know, number one, you're a fantastic Super Metroid player. B, you are a very experienced rando player, and C, as we saw at SG Live as well, you're very familiar with, you know, good strategies for Dash. So I feel like the way the Dash, or excuse me, for Dab, I feel like the way that Dash is set up really gives a lot of opportunity to like do some things that you wouldn't normally do in a normal randomizer. So
Yeah.
I'm not surprised to see you do well.
That's a wave beam. Dang. Did anybody figure out where Varia suit was? Only one person right now has it on the restream, and he wasn't on the restream when he got.
I guess it's got to be Plasma or Waterway. But
Yikes.
real quick, got to say GG to Toasty for finishing in 7th place with an official SRL time of 1:16:21. So congrats to Toasty. But yeah, tell us a little bit about, you know, just your experience. This was your first one. You know, what'd you think about it?
Well, the first thing I did was I had 2 power bomb packs, so I went up to Gauntlet immediately before even checking Terminator, and that was morph bombs. And I thought to myself, going to wreck ship early might pay off. And then the next thing I got was gravity suit, so I thought, I can go full clear Meridia and then route up to wreck ship right from Meridia. But then I decided to do Kraid first before going up the tube, and I wasn't going to go into Norfair. I forget what it actually was that I picked up in Kraid's lair. Maybe it was even just a couple E-tanks that made me decide, like, you know what? I could do lower Norfair. I ended up going in with 30 missiles, 30 supers, and 30 power bombs, which I wasn't on the restream, but I got pretty trolled by the Holtz. Leaving Ridley, I missed a couple supers, so I had to use up a bunch of missiles on him. And I came out of the Ridley fight with 6 missiles, so I had to reset the Plowerhouse room like 10 times to get missile drops off the Holtz. And eventually I did. I crystal flashed and got out. But yeah, the gravity suit, it was interesting. It was my first Dash rando, so the first experience with the 50% heat reduction from gravity suit. And it was nice. Honestly, my favorite thing about it was I did not feel the need to manually tap my reserves. I had 3 full reserve tanks, and after an auto refill, ended up with like 268 energy. So I felt good not, pausing, doing all the extra stuff for like 20 energy. So that was cool. It did make the Mother Brain fight pretty interesting. So not having Varia suit, as a seasoned rando player, especially in combo rando with Link to the Past, you can do lower Norfair without Varia pretty easily in combo because you can come in through the back. I realized that I needed to have 6 energy tanks, but then what also took me a moment to realize was, wait, stuff's actually going to be doing twice as much damage as I'm used to it doing too. So like a ketchup would normally do 100 to gravity suit, but now it's doing 200 per hit with a possibility of triple hitting if you're really unlucky. So yeah, just have to be a little bit more careful in the Mother Brain fight because you don't have as much energy as you think you do, after doing it for so many years,
You're 100% right, and that's one of the things that I really wanted to try to feature in this Dash. Sort of the way it works is, to the average person that maybe doesn't run Super Metroid, they might hear like, "Oh, it's easier to complete seeds. You don't have to have as many items. Oh, this is going to be so free," but it comes at a cost. You know what I'm saying? Like for those of us that run the game, you're not even though you have more ways to finish the seed technically, you're having to put yourself in some pretty dangerous situations if you skip some items. You know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely.
Definitely risk reward.
As I was finishing, I was thinking, man, skipping a lot of stuff left me missing a lot of items. I didn't have high jump boots. I went into, thankfully, nabbed that charge beam out of Rex ship right before going into Torian, so that was a huge boost to my damage for Mother Brain 3 or Mother Brain 2. But like, all I had was Ice Spazer charge, and I wasn't like going out of my way looking for super missiles either, so I had maybe like 30 or 40 of those.
Yeah. So, yeah. By the way, if you get a chance, Cross, you should go back like after this is over and watch the past broadcast and just check out the very end of Zoast, Osse, and Zeb all at Mother Brain at the same time. They had completely different item sets, completely different amounts of minor items, and it drastically affected how like all three of those fights were totally different. It was really interesting.
What does that D stand for again?
Diversity.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, diversity and Mother Brain fights. But a couple things real quick. I think Vari ended up being at Waterway, which I find fascinating because you know how we updated Spazer to be able to break the blocks at Waterway? So you don't just have to have Speed Booster to get that item anymore. However, in this particular seed, Spazer is not part of the quote-unquote logic. It exists outside the logic. Spazer was in Lower Norfair. So it just happened to be that in this particular seed, Spazer wasn't really going to help anybody get Varia. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So it's like when people think that like, oh, having Spazer break blocks is going to make it free. Having bombs be able to get direct ships going to make it free. Having gravity suit, 50% damage reduction makes it free. It really doesn't, because the game will sometimes give you the ability to get those items, but sometimes it won't, right? And so you really have to adapt to what the seed gives you.
Yeah, it's actually, the gravity suit reduction would help though with the vanilla speed booster location.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, well, another thing, 64-bit Link's doing, they setting up for a Crystal Flash here. You have to be very aware of your Crystal Flash, like, point. Normally, I would do it around 70 energy, but with the gravity suit on, it's more like 50, 60.
Exactly.
So,
we talked about that because every single runner on our restream had to deal with that. And the first time that I ran a Dash randomizer and did the Lower Norfair Hell run, the same thing happened to me. I was like, why can't I Crystal Flash? So, yeah, you definitely have to adjust those.
Link was a little close to getting pretty trolled by that Zeb also. If you are in the Crystal Flash animation, you don't have any invincibility frame, so if that fly goes through you while you're doing it, it'll hit you per frame. Now, since you would have to lay a power bomb in the Crystal Flash, he'll typically leave behind a drop, and he won't respawn if there's a drop on screen that he leaves. So it didn't happen, but it actually came pretty close. That's
a good point. By the way, Master, are you still in here?
I am, yeah.
We were talking, Cross, about how much fun we all had hanging out with each other at SG Live and getting to spend time together and play some Super Metroid. And Mass and Cross here actually had one of my favorite dab races at that event where I got to track and watch you guys play. So I was just going to point out that y'all could say hey to each other. Mass was kind of letting me do the talking for a second.
Yeah,
good meeting you guys.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So, Cross, what else are you up to, man, in terms of, are you in any other tournaments right now? Anything with a link to the past, or what all do you have going on? I know it's a busy time for you for the holiday, but what else are you doing speedrunning-wise?
Right now, I'm Super Metroid Rando League. I have a Game 3 matchup in the playoffs. That's going to happen, Saturday? Tomorrow afternoon, I think it's at 4 Eastern. I better double check, but yeah, so tomorrow afternoon, I've got Game 3 in the first round of brackets for Super Metroid Rando League. I finished first in Team Bashful. It was actually a tie for first, and I won the tiebreaker. Also, I'm in Crystallis Randomizer. It's a tournament that just started. We're in Swiss and finishing up week 3 of Swiss right now. I'm 1-2 in that, but it's a little less competitive. It's still a pretty new randomizer in a game that's a little slightly less popular than Super Metroid, but
Yeah, let me ask real
been a
quick
lot of
because
fun.
I've heard of it, but is that? I think I'm mistaken. That's not an RPG, is it?
I would say it's kind of like imagine Link to the Past, but fast.
Okay, I got you. Got you. Well, that'll be fun, man. Good luck. And I think the number 4 is lucky for you because you finished in 4th place today. You're also the number 4 seed, if I recall correctly, in the randomizer playoffs. So that's a very good performance. I think you went 8-1 for the season. And
Yeah, that sounds
your
right.
match 3 will be to go to the next round. I think you'll have to do a boss randomizer, don't you?
Yeah, we decided on a full 100% item shuffle, and it's also boss rando since it's game 3.
I see. And I think you're going up against Dirksu, who was the 3rd runner from my division that qualified for the playoffs. Dirksu's a very good player, so I'm really excited to watch you guys race, and good luck with that.
All right, thanks. I'm gonna head out here now. Thank you very much again for commentating and just being the brain got behind the Dash Rando. It was my first time playing it. I like the concept. I think my favorite and least favorite things about it are the charge beam change. I like not being forced into picking up a billion super missiles, but I don't like that you took away my Crystal Flash elevator setup.
That's totally understandable. But thank you for participating, man. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll be in touch about the information for the official event later.
All right, peace. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Cool. Later, Cross.
All right, and so now we have Souza coming up here on the landing site. Looks like he's using. I'm trying to remember, Mass. Is that a lot of these blue gravity suits or bluer gravity suits? Is that from one of the ROM hacks?
I guess I don't know what you mean.
Well, I'm sorry. Some of the sprite changes, some people use custom palettes from some of the other ROM hacks that exist out there. And so anyway, I don't know which one that one is. But anyway, congratulations to Souza for finishing in 8th place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 4 seconds. And in the meantime, we got Shiny Zenny looking like he's going to wrap up his touring here very shortly. Zenny is obviously an extremely, extremely good Super Metroid player, has the world record in RBO and several other world records of like extension categories and really good times in pretty much anything that he runs. So I would assume, oh, he went for it. I was going to say, I bet he's going to get the baby skip, but he went for the super hard spring ball baby skip and just barely missed it. He'll have to save his game and reload to get the slow animation off. But I gotta hand it to him. He's got a lot of moxie for going for that.
Now, isn't there a way to also turn it off with X-ray?
If there is, I'm not aware of it, but that doesn't mean that that's not true because there's a lot of kind of crazy tech that exists out there that I'm just personally not familiar with. I was under the impression the only way to get that off was to save your game and then reload your save. But since he knows he's not going to qualify, we might see him actually just go for it for fun. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But sometimes people will get it and then just try to finish the game anyway because it's funny. Yeah, he's going to go for it. Nice.
Yeah, the skip here is the funnest part, I think.
Did he take off the screw attack?
And he made it.
Oh, he still got it anyway. Nice. I have definitely seen Zoast, and I think Sloaters maybe finish one with the slowdown. I've done it before too, but it's not free. It's not something that's super duper easy. So we'll have to wait and see. Also, I can't confirm. Did Zenny end up finding the various suit?
Yeah, he did. Waterway.
Okay. So he's got a little bit more leeway here. Mass, if you don't mind, I'm going to let you take over for just like a minute. I'm going to run, refill my water for a second.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, Zenny's fight here, like Kip said, should be a little more comfy. We can see Link at the bottom too. He's done a couple rounds here with Ridley. And it looks like he's good to go on this one though. I think it's going to be a lot of fun watching Zenny do this escape in slow motion.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. I also do want to just mention, too, that I appreciate Zenny being here to participate in this. Zenny, to my knowledge, does not run randomizers like hardly ever. So for him to be willing to come in, you know, as a friend and just kind of participate and have a good time, definitely appreciate it. And everybody else who participated as well. So I'm curious to see who all we have back for the night session tonight. And also for anybody out there who's interested in you know, wanting to participate in these qualifiers, they are completely open. And not only will we have one tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern here on SpeedGaming, we will have 2 more next Saturday at the same times, 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. So if anybody wants to participate, you know, feel free to start practicing some Dash and have a good time.
Yeah, and like Kip said, they are completely open. There's been lots of questions about how to sign up. But if you show up and join in on the race channel, you've done your part.
So Mass, just out of curiosity, you know, because you and I, obviously, just for full disclosure for anybody out there that doesn't know, Mass and I have been really good friends since college. So we've known each other for a really long time. But Mass here has been helping me tremendously with, you know, some of the coding and updating of some of the things in the Dash Randomizer, helping build the website, and just kind of troubleshooting. And plus, you're the first person I always talk to about potential, you know, balance changes. So I got to know, and I'm going to give you the opportunity. I feel like I deserve this. How annoying has it been for me to like message you 18 times a day for the last 2 weeks and ask you a million questions about Super Metroid stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, you know, I don't mind talking Super Metroid. You know, the biggest thing, and we've talked about this several times, that this is, you know, your first time, my first time working on any kind of tournament like this. And so there's a surprising amount of work that has to go into it. And even, you know, having the logic, you know, you worked with Smiley and talked with Total some, and it was like, all right, now we need to get this out there. You know, there's only been a couple of times I think that I've gotten a text from you saying like, hey, can you have this done in like 15 minutes? And I'm like,
Right.
Maybe.
But you're right, man. You know, I knew this going in, but you don't fully understand it until you do it. It made me, I always appreciated the organizers of all the tournaments that I was in and all the people at SpeedGaming, but even more so now, like there is a ton of effort and thought and work that has to go into putting on any kind of event. So, but at the same time, you know, I'm doing it because I really want to give back to the community, and I think this is a really cool, fun event. You know, if in a perfect world, I wish there were more opportunities for people to, you know, do tournaments and make a little bit of money playing Super Metroid and feature all the cool people in our community. So I'm definitely happy to do it, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you know, I think you know, you already mentioned all the great work that SpeedGaming does, but I think it was pretty interesting at that live event that we got to see just a little kind of taste of it, you know.
For sure. Hey, real quick, I want to say something about Zenny before he wraps up here. Shiny Zenny has finished in 9th place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 33 minutes, and 13 seconds. But listen to me right now, okay? I'm being dead serious. Everybody out there better hope that he decides not to get into this, because if he decides that he wants to like actually try, he will be extremely good at this by next week. So like it would not, I think this might be the first randomizer he's done in who knows how long, but I promise you, if he decides like, you know what, I'm going to spend a week like looking into this and trying to figure out, he'll kick a bunch of tail like within 7 days. So we'll see if he's just doing this for fun or not. But either way, really appreciate him participating, and I hope he had a good time. And in the meantime, we're going to stick here with 64-bit Link and see if he can get done. We're going to have to cut, I think, before the 3 o'clock time. for some other events that are going to be on SpeedGaming. But we're going to try to stick here and see if he can finish up his run. But really appreciate 64-bit Link, even though he had some difficulty in lower Norfair and died several times. I'm always like, it always makes me feel really good in tournaments and races when I see people, you know, die, but then like try again and just keep trying until they do it. So props to 64-bit Link for grinding it out here. Really, really proud of him for going to finish this run. I'm really curious about all the people that died and forfeited. I wonder what percentage of them were lower Norfair and what percentage of them were Mother Brain, because I bet you it wasn't all lower Norfair.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting seed. And you know, we talked about accessibility, and that's a part of this too, is that, you know, the floor, like you kind of said before, like the floor should be the same. So people hopefully should be able to get into it. And so, you know, I'm not as experienced of a rando player as half the people that are running in this for sure, not more. And so in an instance like this, it's interesting because, you know, people had speed at a certain point, and, you know, for me, especially prior to dash changes, that would have been like, all right, I'm going to go, maybe I'll go check waterway, you know, and in this specific seed, well, that could have helped you get done really quickly.
Yeah, it really could have. And I will say this too, for anybody out there in the chat, again, like, I just want to be very clear. Every seed that we select for the qualifiers and for the tournament are just randomly generated. We're not, you know, I had no idea where the items were. The fact that Varia was at Waterway here and that Speed and Spazer were kind of far away, that is a pretty unique set of circumstances. In fact, I would be shocked if we had a seed in the next 3 qualifiers in a row that was more quote unquote troll than this one. Like, it's technically possible that we could have another one that's even worse, but this is very, like, to me, this is like bottom 10% of troll potential. Does that make sense? Like, this kind of scenario is not going to happen very often in many seeds. Yeah, see, now Sassy's like wanting to Sassy, his wife, she's gonna try to talk him into getting into it so he can start dominating.
She's fueling the fire.
It's gonna be a rando Christmas in the Zenny house.
Well, and I will say too, I was watching Zenny stream a little last night, doing some max % GT code, and I'm really excited from getting to see some categories like that. That if, you know, sometimes a category just catches on and you start to see people hitting it, and that's one where there's just tons of potential within the randomizer scene for new strats to just show up.
Yeah, I thought, you know, it's funny you mentioned that. I was thinking something similar a few days ago. Max % GT, of every new category that has been invented in the last couple years, it is probably the one that could have the biggest impact on how runners have strats prepared in advance for different scenarios in a randomizer. There are scenarios that exist in randomizers where you're just kind of trying to make up a strat because you don't really know what to do because of the item set that you have is different, that actually might exist in some of the max % GT situations. So very fascinating category for sure.
Yeah. I mean, even just the spark back from speed, like every time somebody does it, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that thing is super swag.
We see Osse saying exactly that, right? That he prioritized max % over 100%.
That makes perfect logical sense. Max percent GT will definitely provide more opportunity to help you in randomizers, which, by the way, there's been, a lot of debate about this for several years. I feel, pretty strongly that what I'm about to say is more accurate, but some people can disagree. But if you're trying to get into Super Metroid speedrunner running and you like randomizers, I would highly recommend learning a speed run, maybe like 80% or something first. Like, I'm not saying don't do randomizers, but I'm saying that you learning how to speed run the game even a little bit will help you more than just running randomizers will help you be a good speedrunner. There are many, like some of our best speedrunners in the community become really solid rando players very quickly because they're already equipped with all of the strats, right? Whereas when you're just doing a bunch of randomizers, you do get better at your movement a little bit over time, but it's not necessarily in the same way. So I would recommend, if you want to do Super Metroid randomizers and you kind of want to invest a little bit of time, I'd recommend doing both. I think randos are fun and they're really cool, and you can kind of do them more efficiently when you have a little bit of experience under your belt. So, kind of balance them.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. I know when I was first playing Super Metroid, you were giving me that same advice, and I think, I was still over an hour on my 80%. I was like, all right, I'm going to drop this and just do randos, and you were like, maybe you need to work a little more on 80%, and I think that was probably the right play.
Yeah, I think it really helps in the long term. But that's, again, I'm not trying to tell anybody what they have to do. I just think that if you're interested in randomizer and you want to improve at randomizer, the way Super Metroid works as a game, we've talked about this a lot, you and I have. The way it works as a game is very different than something like A Link to the Past, for example. And so, like, in a way, Link to the Past speedrunners obviously can, when they first start doing, Link to the Past randomizers, they can still, have a good starting point, but the way the logic is set up, the way you need to understand how to go about it is such a big factor. Whereas in Super Metroid, it is a factor, but it's a less percentage of a factor. If you're a really good player from a, strat point of view, then you can, in some cases, almost like strong arm your way into being competitive in rando. You know what I mean? So it's just the way the game is set up and how it's designed that allows the speedrun practice to really help you benefit in rando scenarios versus other potential games that are, really popular out there.
Yeah, of course, I got super inspired watching Osse and all the other great Link to the Past runners doing randomizers at that event. And so I've been trying to pick up a little bit of that myself. And, I'm going with the same approach though. I'm working on 80%, maybe 100% after that. And then once I actually know what I'm doing, then maybe I'll start messing with randomizers.
Yeah, Link to the Past randomizers, and I know there's a bunch of different types, but man, it's incredibly fascinating. I've really enjoyed watching Maniacal and Osse and, Cross and Zoast, and there's a bunch of other people that have done a lot of those. I gotta admit, man, I don't know if I'm smart enough to do a Link to the Past randomizer. Like every time I watch the way people talk about it, I'm just like, I have no idea how they're chaining together like 12 different thoughts in a row. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to play Super Metroid. And if I don't have an item, I'm just going to do a different strat.
Yeah. Yeah. And, then once you get to that point, right, then we have the combo randomizer.
Yeah. Good grief. Then it's even crazier.
And that thing's more of just a test of how long can you sit there? Are you willing to play for 5 hours if you have to?
Right. Well, see, and to the point that we're making here, that's part of the reason why I wanted to design Dash to be what Dash is from a style point of view. I'm not against randomizers that put a heavy focus on the logic and checks and stuff like that. I think those are really cool. But there wasn't currently a Super Metroid randomizer that was geared more towards strat execution and like in terms of what you could get done. Like I didn't like the heavy gating that sometimes can occur where you have to find tons of supers or like charge beam in some random location. So that's part of the reason I designed it the way that I did, is because I wanted there to be sort of on the other end of the spectrum, a randomizer that allowed you to sort of take advantage of your speed tech a little bit more than just the constantly, you know, what is this logic trying to force me to do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's interesting. I just noticed Link did a setup for his ice Zeb skip. I'm not sure if I've ever seen anybody do.
Well, I think it's the same one that Zenny was trying to do a minute ago, or maybe it was the same one that he executed. But I gotta say, I'm impressed because I always thought the down back Zeb skip was really difficult, and I've never actually practiced it or tried to implement it. But there's a lot of players like Link here who are obviously very good at it, and it helps you not have to take off the screw attack. So, well done.
Yeah.
Hold on, I gotta ask, does Link have the barrier suit? Because if not, this is going to be Monka-S, dude.
Yeah, I do not know that. Well, no, I don't think he does.
Okay, in fact, he definitely doesn't. Spoiler alert.
Oh.
But, yeah, we've got 64-bit Link has forfeited from the race. And totally understandable, too, because, you know, he's made it this far. I don't know if he's saved. But without the various suit, this fight is far from free. So anyway, I do want to commend Link for making it this far, and I really appreciate the fact that he participated. I hope he comes back tonight and plays again in the qualifier this evening. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for us here at the Dash, the folks here at the Dash Randomizer. Mass, thank you so much for not only joining me today. It was fun to hang out, but also, as you know, I greatly appreciate all the work that you've done for me with this thing. So hope you have a great rest of your day.
Well, just make it up to me and make sure we call it Dash for Cash.
That's right, the Dash for Cash. But tonight we will have Tracy on commentary joining me. She was out and about doing some stuff today, so Mass was very kind to fill in kind of last second. And then Tracy's going to help me with tonight's qualifier. We will be back in about 4 hours or so. Stick around here on Speed Gaming for, let's see, what is next? Do I have the... I'm not sure. I apologize, but I'm not exactly sure what's coming up next here on Speed Gaming. But it's Mario 1. So for those of you that like Super Mario Brothers speedruns, stick around because that's going to be some fun stuff. And I wish I understood. I've heard some of the tech like frame rules and what's the thing they do where they jump on the flagpole, the frame perfect flagpole jumps or whatever. Anyway, I don't know much about Mario 1, but I'm sure it's a lot of fun. So y'all stick around, have a great day, and hopefully we'll see y'all back in a few hours.